Hey YA nerds, my name is Kaye and I like to read a lot, and welcome to another episode of Kaye Reads a Lot. So this week's going to be a little bit different. I don't currently own the book I want to talk about. I also don't have it out from the library. I honestly forgot to grab it. But on top of that, I listened to this book as an audiobook, so I kind of want to talk a little bit more about that. Anyway, today's book is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. I'm going to put the cover above here. I might leave it there for a little bit. It's a really cute cover. I think that's what caught my attention first. As you all know, I love me a good cover. But I also just think it's really cute. I like Ben on the cover. I think they're adorable. And yeah, we're going to talk about this. So, this is a realistic fiction YA book. It was published May 14th, 2019, and it is 329 pages, so just over the average. I feel like average YA book is anywhere from like 280 to 320, so this one just makes it over. I read this book last August of 2020. And by read, I mean listen to. If you do get the chance to listen to this book, I highly recommend it. It is a really well done audiobook. The narrator is really was chosen very well, I think. Of course, I cannot remember their name, and I'm so sorry for that. But yeah, so let's talk about it. So Ben is non-binary. Ben comes out to their parents, and Ben is then expelled from their home. In a, I guess, last-ditch effort to try to not be homeless, they call their sister Hannah, who's been estranged from their parents for a really long time. And Hannah picks Ben up, and Hannah brings Ben home, and Hannah becomes Ben's surrogate parent, pretty much. It is one of the hardest books I've ever listened to in the beginning. I remember driving in my car and just being like, Ben, I don't know, it broke my heart a little bit. I know it is the reality of a lot of LGBTQIA plus teens to go through that kind of thing. I still hate it. I love this book, I'm not saying that. But anyway, so Ben has a rough beginning. And then Ben starts going to school where Hannah's husband works. And Ben meets Nathan, and things start to get a little better, but Ben decides to not come out at school. And, you know, I understand that choice. It's a hard choice to make, and because their heart was broken by their parents, you know, it's a decision that they make to be safe. In the book, I will say that I appreciate this part, but I also have to mention it. Ben starts going to therapy. And that is a big part of the book. So you sit on Ben's therapy sessions with them. You sit with Ben while they deal with their parents and with Hannah, their sister. And you kind of watch Ben grow into the kind of person that they're meant to be. And I know, like, I feel I've been like kind of a downer about this book so far. But that is the story of I Wish You All the Best. The title of the book comes from Nathan. He says that to Ben all the time. I wish you all the best, Ben DeBacher. And it's really cute. And it is those parts that really lift the book up. Because again, it starts really sad. And it wavers a little bit between those two things. And of course you do have like your rising action, your conflict, and then your resolution, like most books. The conflict in this book is that Ben's parents show up to like a school function, and they still treat Ben like garbage. And it's in that moment that Ben kind of has to make a decision for themselves. You know, whether they're gonna go back home, live with their parents who don't accept them, or keep living the life that they've started to build with Hannah. So it's a tough book, but it is an uplifting book. And I do think if you read it all the way through to the end, you'll be very pleased. I was really happy with the way it ended. I was also relieved with the way it ended. It could have gone a lot of different ways. And I've read a lot of books, especially recently, where a main character comes out and it doesn't end well. or it ends about as well as you would expect. Sorry if you hear a weird noise. My cat is, of course, chasing something at this moment. It's always something. It's always something. Anyway, that's the plot for this one. I guess we should talk about the tropes. So tropes, as always, tropes I came up with some other librarians, but also from the internet and also from my friends. Hi, Tessa. And this is basically just a list of like ways to describe books. They're like genres, but simpler than that, or more direct than that, I guess. And basically I like to use these to describe books because it makes it easier for me to recommend books and for me to find books that I really like. So, for this book, for I Wish You All the Best, we have broken family units. Obviously, Ben gets kicked out of their house and their family is not whole anymore. We also have communication is key. I feel like Ben is bad at communicating their emotions, but I think it's valid. I think, they went through a very traumatic experience and that makes it hard for them to communicate to the people who care about them. So that. We also have great expectations. So Ben's parents expected them to be not non-binary, I guess. And it's that kind of pressure that results in a lot of trauma for Ben. We also have Masquerade. Ben goes to school and decides to not be non-binary at school. So it's like they're going reverse stealth, or they're back in the closet. They're pretending to be something they're not, and it is hard for them. We also have Mr. Tall, Dark, and Perfect. Nathan, I think, is described as like the perfect guy a few times. I don't know if those are the exact words that are used. It's probably more like, Nathan's like hot and everyone wants to be with him, and he's kind of like hot commodity. That's really what that trope is. We also have the new kid. Again, Ben is the new kid at a school, and there's a lot of like drama that goes on with that. Whether it's like being accepted by your peers or not, and then add in, being queer on top of all of that. Super fun. We also have overbearing parents. Even though the parents are estranged, they are still really overbearing, almost to the point of like extra abuse. It's like really messed up, to be honest. We also have parental neglect. Again, same thing. They kicked Ben out of the house. In fact, they kick Ben out of the house and they don't even have shoes on them. Like, get out of my house. I don't care that you don't have shoes or your cell phone or any clothing. Get out of my house. That's awful. We also have wrecking ball endings. Again, this book ended and it like broke my heart and put it back together. That's the best way to describe it. And the last one we have is Youths in Danger. So again, Ben is like pretty much homeless for the first chapter or two of the book, and it puts them in a lot of danger, especially as a queer kid. A lot of homeless teenagers are queer, and it is because their parents didn't accept them and just told them to get out of their houses. And it is an incredibly sad but an incredibly common thing that has happened. I think though, like, the numbers are really high. I couldn't tell you what they are because it honestly makes me depressed looking at them. But I think slowly they're starting to diminish a little bit. We are starting to see a turn, I think, a lot in like the perception of queer people. And hopefully, Ben's story is a real story. It's a true to life story. It happens to thousands of teens. Maybe it will not happen so often as the world evolves and becomes more an understanding and caring place. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting way too serious on this one. I don't have anything to go from there. Let's do the book recommendations. Jesus Christ. So book recs. I'm not going to sing a song. I really don't feel like it. I'm too depressed with this book. We're just going to talk about it. So I do 3 book recs. One's from Goodreads, one's from Novelist, and one's from yours truly. As a librarian, I'm pretty good at recommending books to people based on what they like and what they've read. And that goes for this as well. So anyway, from Goodreads, we have The Music of What Happens by Bill Coningsberg. I read this book Or did I listen to this one too? Doesn't matter. I read it, listened to it a year or two ago, and it is about two boys falling in love with each other, but one of them has a very traumatic thing that happens to him at the very beginning of the book. So I can see how those two connect. It makes sense. Also, the cover of this book is also gorgeous. The two main characters who are falling for each other also start their own food truck. It's great. I loved that part. And they both kind of have like little secrets from each other that, you know, they end up telling each other because they're dating. And again, the one boy, it's rough for him. Oh, excuse me. From Novelist? Ooh. From Novelist, we have Birthday by Meredith Russo. I love Meredith Russo. I screamed her praises on If I Was Your Girl. And Birthday, I also think I reviewed it. If I haven't, I should. It's so good. Birthday is about two young people who are born on the same day, and every year, their entire lives, they celebrate their birthday together. And one of them is designated male at birth, and the other one, well, no, they're both designated male at birth, but one of them grows up to be a cisgender male, and the other one grows up to be a transgender female. And then they fall in love. And honestly, I freaking love that book. It is done so well. We're talking about a different book and I'm reviewing this one now. I can see how the two of them relate, since you do have a trans character and a cis character falling in love with each other. I think it's a little different in the regards that the two main characters, whose name I'm blanking on because I'm bad at names, the two main characters from Birthday are best friends their entire lives, whereas Nathan and Ben become friends and then start dating, so I can kind of see it. It's a little bit of different dynamic. And there's also, like, communication is key. There's not really good communication in Birthday as well. Masquerade is also in Birthday in terms of tropes, so I get how they both go together. And then for me, we have Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. I love Case and Calendar. I want to read all of their books. I've read a majority of their books, so I'm getting there. But I want to recommend these two together because I feel like there's a lot of similar tropes. Felix in Felix Ever After says he's a trans boy, but he has to explore his gender identity a little bit more than that. And he ends up on a term that, in my opinion, kind of falls under like the non-binary umbrella. And so I feel like that's how he relates to Ben. Yeah. And also there is a romance in Felix Ever After between him and a cisgender character. So you do have those two things. The romance is also between friends. It's not really a spoiler. It kind of heads that way. There is also like a lot of trauma in Felix Ever After. Felix is kind of like dead named and outed by like a creepy stalker kind of character in the beginning of the book. It's whacked. Wow, I'm old. I just said whacked. So you kind of have like those threads that bind these two stories together. Anyway, if you've read any of these books, please let me know. If you have a book rec for me, leave me a comment. I love getting book recommendations from people. It always makes me smile. And yeah, that's it for your book recs. Let's talk about the review. So, I'm giving this book a 10 out of 10. It pulled at all my heartstrings in just the right way, and honestly, I am Ben and Ben is me, and you know, I really, the empathy that this book builds is worth the read, in my opinion. I think if you want to get a really good picture of what non-binary teens have to go through, this is a good place to start. Again, because of like the traumatic nature of the beginning of the book, it's probably not for everybody. It just pulled me in even harder. It was definitely one of those books that I didn't want to stop reading. And I listened to this one, so I pretty much listened to it in my car and then got home and kept listening to it, which I never do unless I'm like, I must finish this. So, I don't have much else to say about it because I gave it a perfect score. The characterization was great, the romance was awesome. I mean, it was just like, it was a book that, again, the ending broke me and put me back together. And I'm happy that this kind of book exists in the world. I'm happy that we have authors like Mason Deaver who are writing books like this, not just for people like me who are queer, but also for people who aren't, and people who need to see this part of the world that exists. So I think that's all I'm gonna say about this, because if I keep talking about it, I might cry. And yeah, that's it for this review. Feel free to like and subscribe. I can't believe I keep saying that, but I want to get to 100 subscriptions. Once I do, I can have like a special URL, I think, and that could be really cool. I'm not the kind of person who needs a 10,000 or 100,000 like people watching me every week or whenever I upload videos, because it's not every week at this point. Who knows when I'm uploading again? But like, I don't know, could be fun. Whatever. Anyway, peace out, YA nerds.